Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very special interview. We have none other on the phone than Jeremy DeWitt, the owner of Metro State. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Good afternoon. How are you?
I want to talk about your company, and it's fairly impressive. You've built it over the past 10 years, and I want to sort of discuss that. How did your company start exactly?
Uh, well, believe it or not, I came home. I started a business. Well, I was working for another company. I was handling explosive material or gas materials, and I had went out and bought a motorcycle. I had left my two vehicles to my wife so she could get to and from where she worked. So I went out and got a motorcycle. I wasn't even riding for about 90 days. A lady ran a red light and hit me, um, totaling the bike, sending me to the hospital, on and on, of course. And so I received a good amount of insurance money. Um, and I bought my first motorcycle for the company. And at that point, I had already been looking into it, trying to figure out ways to do it. Um, there is one other company in Orlando. It's does well. It's not as big as ours at this current point. However, back in the day, they were number one, and they're still a very good company on what they do, contrary or other than escorts. Um, and I had reached out to the owner a few times. We talked a few times, um, and so I took the insurance money, bought the first bike, and I put it together. I all the vehicles you see currently that we have today, I get always secondhand from agencies, and then I personally go through and retrofit, rewire, set up the electrical system, and do the stickers along with the lights and the stickers for the lights, and started the business that way with one motorcycle. Within a few months, got a second one, and just started that way.
That's not a great start to the business. The fact that you had to get hit and get paid out for to do that, but that would certainly help. Did you have the idea of doing this kind of company before that, or was it just, oh, I have enough money to buy one of these motorcycles? What can I do with it?
Well, the funny thing is I had the money. I had the money to start the business then, but you know, uh, once I got hit by the car, I was out of commission for a little bit. The job that I was working, of course, unfortunately, they have to continue their work. They were a small business as well, so the job wasn't there anymore. So I took the insurance money, and although I took the insurance money to buy the motorcycle, there was, of course, we had money to live off of until things started rolling the way we wanted. Um, so yes, it unfortunately it was a motorcycle accident that just basically said, you know what, at this point, uh, I can't work this job anymore. So let's go ahead and look at what we were talking about, and what we were looking at is, something that we were thinking about doing anyways. So let's go ahead and just put the brakes on everything else and go ahead and work, with this goal in mind. So
Makes sense to me. Now,
sure.
you've built this company slowly over the course of 10 years. Did At what point did you start to gain attention from the other companies that were also involved in this kind of thing? You said you immediately reached out to another company in the area, but at some point you eventually surpassed them. Were there any issues with that?
No, the other company is more geared towards security. We don't do security at all. We so it never really became a problem. Um, Obviously, slowly over time, we started taking I wouldn't say contracts because there's really no contracts, but the verbal agreements and and work agreements that they had away from other funeral homes. As time went on, they would have an accident, or they would. One of the other issues is they would get lost, and so uh, they would give us the chance. And because we're not a security company, the other company is a fairly large security company, so they stay pretty busy with that, and they do pretty well in Orlando. Um, they're a good company. You know, it was kind of hit or miss. I think to a point where what would happen is they would have, I wouldn't say off duty, that's not the word I'm looking for, but like overtime workers. They say, hey, guess what? We have an escort. You want to go get it real fast, and they would not really know the way they were going or what they were doing, and because they were, their security, they were doing their security job at night, and hitting the escort the next morning might have caused whatever issues, and because of that we got our foot in, and we just provided the services, uh, slowly and surely, and over time just kind of took over the market for funeral escorts. um, but that's because we have time to solely dedicate and solely work on funeral escorts, because that's what we do. We don't do security. We don't, we do funeral escorts. um, so but other than that, the owner of the other company, we had talked a few times, and he actually one time he tried it on a motorcycle, and he met with me. We actually did a funeral escort together, um, and he pulled me to the side at the cemetery, and he said, "I have no idea how you do this. It's the most dangerous thing I've ever seen on a motorcycle." He's like, in a car is one thing, but on a motorcycle, it's just so much different. Traffic just doesn't see you, doesn't care. It's so dangerous, and on and on. And I had told him, I agree with you. And he's like, we've shooken hands many times, and he's always been pretty strong of a supporter of us. I do know that they still do funeral escorts here and there. They have some steadfast clients that, we've never even tried to take from them. They're, they're it's their bond they have with them. So